Whoever guessed that I was baking a cake, you guessed correctly, because this is probably the best vanilla cake that I have ever made and I have ever tasted. And I've actually played with this recipe a few times. This is my third or fourth time doing it, and it actually gets better every single time. So come with me today while we make some vanilla cake. I'll do an icing video later. What I love about this particular recipe is how easy it is. Every single ingredient is listed right there in the video. All I do is I separate the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients, and I'll show you exactly how to mix it in the next step. So in one mixing bowl, I'm going to mix all of the dry ingredients, the sugar, the flour, the salt, baking soda, and baking powder. I'm going to put it in one separate bowl, and I'm going to whisk it up real nice and real neat until all of the dry ingredients are nice and combined. Now this is where you mix all of the wet ingredients. This is where you mix the eggs, the buttermilk, the oil. And what I have found, because I've tried it a different way as well, I mix the buttermilk, the oil, and the eggs together first. Once that's fully combined, I then add the magic ingredient, which is that vanilla bean paste. I like to use this particular brand. I can actually add the link to the video. I've tried another brand very recently, and I just didn't like the way that my cake turned out. Mind you, now I'm not the best baker yet, but I just prefer to use this particular brand of the vanilla bean paste. So as you can see, I mixed those three ingredients together first, mix that until it's well combined, and then I add the vanilla bean paste. At this point, the vanilla smell should sort of take over your kitchen by now, but this is an example of what your wet batter should look like. So where I listed all of the ingredients at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that your butter should be room temperature. It actually makes this step a lot more easier because you're going to take the room temperature butter and mix it with the dry ingredients. And once you mix and combine it, it should actually feel like a super thick, almost like a brown sugar texture. But if it is not room temperature, what happens is it doesn't break down as easy, and it will. Trust me, I did this mistake. I got it on video. It's not like your cake is going to turn out bad or anything. The only thing is it just makes the step a little bit more tedious than it needs to be, and you'll just have to work it more with your hands than if you've had it at room temperature. Again, don't make the same mistake that I did, everybody. Room temperature butter. And this is what the mix should look like. Just a very thick, almost like a brown sugar mix. All right, to the fun part. You are going to take half of that wet batter and you're going to mix it with that dry ingredient. Only half for now. You're going to mix it until it is nice and combined. It's not going to be the smoothest, especially if you're using your hands for this part. I always start off with my hands to get it fully combined, and then I go ahead and use my handy dandy stand mixer. But you're going to mix half just like I did until it is semi-smooth, and then you're going to mix the second half of that wet batter. Now you can also mix half of that wet batter into the flour mix and then add a little bit and keep adding more until you get a nice smooth consistency. This is probably the best option if you don't have a stand mixer, because what you don't want is to mix all of the ingredients together and it becomes too clumpy. And so this way you give the batter a chance to adjust to the wet ingredients, and you give your hands a chance to sort of blend all those ingredients together nice and consistent. And of course, I pulled out my handy dandy stand mixer. I mixed it until it's nice and smooth. The only thing that you do have to watch with the stand mixer is to not over mix it. I just mixed mine for about 3 minutes on low until I got a nice smooth paste. And while that's mixing, go ahead and oil up your pans. This particular recipe will make 2 8-inch round cakes. So as you can see, I've already greased my pans, and look at that. Smooth, silky, there's no lumps, there's no clumps. You can actually eat this, and please don't. I'm just saying, I just so happen to have tasted this, and not only does it smell amazing and look amazing, it actually tastes even better. So I go ahead and fill up each pan about 1/3 of the way high, because you need to give it enough room for it to rise in the oven without spilling over. And at this point, the way that it looks, the way that it smells, I just start feeling myself. I actually just started baking. The love that I have for baking has increased tremendously over the last few weeks. But every single time I get in the kitchen to bake a new goods, I just start feeling myself, because I know where I came from to where I am right now. And this is the part where the cake starts to smell so good that I have to go walk my fish and taste the batter, but don't tell nobody. We are going to bake at 350 degrees for about 25 minutes. And that's it. Literally so simple. And the cake turned out amazing. One of the key things that you have to do after the cake gets out of the oven is to let it cool for about 20 to 30 minutes. But then look at this. And yes, I do have to work on my decoration skills, but check this out. My daughter added her little sprinkles, and it was actually so good. And yes, me and my son have to work on our cake decoration skills. But the way that this cake disappeared in less than 20 minutes, trust me, the last thing that I'm worried about is how pretty it looks, because of how good it actually tastes. So let me know, would you guys actually try this recipe? And if you try it, let me know how it tastes. Let me know how you did. If you're watching it and you've baked a cake like this, let me know some pointers. Some decoration pointers would actually be nice at this point. But anyways, it was amazing. It was amazing.